Okay, we can get started. Let me first say that I would like to welcome the Assistant Attorney General over the Civil Rights Division, Kristen Clark, to the City of Houston. It's good to have you back. And the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Texas, Alindar S. Hamdani. And we're glad that you're both here. When I was first sworn in as mayor back in January of 2016, I said that I didn't want to be the mayor of two cities in one, a city of have and have-nots. And from day one, we have been focused and have focused our attention on addressing the needs and the lack of investments in many communities that have been underserved and under-resourced for literally decades. Parks, green space, housing, business and job opportunities, and including illegal dumping. For me, for a person who grew up in the hood and still live in that same hood, these things were personal and continue to be personal. And so I have to be very honest with you. It was a little bit disappointed, and I was a little bit disappointed with the initial third-party complaint and premise behind the Department of Justice investigation that the city was somehow neglecting underserved communities in our response to illegal dumping. As someone who grew up and still lives in these neighborhoods and whose life work has been to lift these neighborhoods, and who as mayor has prioritized the needs of communities of color that are historically under-resourced and underserved, who built a complete communities model that is a blueprint for public-private investments in neighborhoods, revitalization, and who has worked throughout this administration to fight environmental injustice, to have an allegation like that, despite all we have done and continue to do, was a little bit deflating. But ultimately, through our meetings and sharing of information, strategies and approaches and plans, the deployment of resources, working together, we recognize that the Department of Justice, as well as the City of Houston, that we share common ground on these issues. This is something we both care deeply about, and we both want to address now and into the future. We both acknowledge illegal dumping disproportionately plagues communities of color, Black and brown communities in Houston, and many municipalities throughout our country and beyond. We both recognize that cities are inadequately resourced to eradicate illegal dumping in these communities, even though we spend millions of dollars a year and countless hours on this problem. And most importantly, we both recognize that this goes beyond garbage, and it is about how do we transform these communities for the better. How do we improve their quality of life, and how do we make it better for families and children who are growing up in these cities, walking on the streets in these communities? How do we make their quality of life better? This is about safety, economic and social equity. It's about respect and love for our community and our home. Everyone deserves the right to live in a healthy and safe environment, and we are all responsible for keeping our communities clean and free of dumping and other environmental hazards. With this voluntary resolution, we are in mutual agreement to move together as partners towards a solution to carry forward a shared vision of one clean Houston. Progress is already being made, but the work and all of the elements of our One Clean Houston must continue. Since we launched the One Clean Houston initiative in March, the city has reduced its response time to illegal dumping by 75% from last year. We are now responding to 311 reported illegal dump sites in 11 days on average, compared to 49 days in 2022. In the last 3 months, we've collected over 2,900 dump sites and approximately 20,000 tons of debris, 24% more than this time last year. We filed 110 criminal charges on violators since January this year, which is over 4 times the number of charges filed the same time last year. And we are about to double the number of law enforcement officers focused on this issue with a pending agreement with Precinct 1 Constable Alan Rosen and working with the City of Houston HPD Chief Fenner. The community is also joining the fight like never before. We are hosting a community lunch and learn immediately after this press conference to engage the public in the effort. And we are releasing the community toolkit today, which will serve as a playbook for community members and neighborhood groups to tackle this issue. This has been a team effort, and I want to acknowledge all of my directors and their teams for their commitments to this cause. But I also want to thank the United States Department of Justice Civil Rights Section and the U.S. Attorney's Office for being clear-eyed during this entire investigation, to being committed to the needs of our community, to working with the City of Houston at all levels, and letting the data and the facts tell the story. We're going to continue to follow the data and measure how these strategies are working, and you know we'll be pressing until my last day in office for more resources to find a sustainable solution to these problems. And finally, I'd like to thank the community for saying enough is enough and for their direct involvement. We are not going to solve this issue without the community stepping up to dispose of trash in the right way, to report dumping and violators, and to raise awareness with their neighborhoods, their friends, and their families. And we must all work together to create one clean Houston. And in that vein, let me thank my Vice Mayor Pro Tem, Martha Castek Tatum, Council Member Carlos Cisneros, Council Member Letitia Plummer, Council Member Tasha Jackson, and all of the others who are not here, and a special thanks to Chief Troy Fenner and his entire team, and all of our directors. But most importantly, let me thank the people in the City of Houston, and especially those who live in communities that are underserved and under-resourced. And finally, let me just say to the Attorney General over Civil Rights Division, Kristen Clark, who I've had the privilege of talking to and listening to on many occasions. Let me thank you for personally being here and for your direct involvement in this initiative. By working together with the Department of Justice and our Council for the Southern District of Texas, collectively, I believe we have made a significant step in improving the quality of life for everyone who lives in our city. Sometimes things don't have to be contentious. Sometimes by working together, we can end up with a better product. And I believe today, working together in collaboration, in tandem, in partnership, we have ended up with a much better result. So thank you so very much. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce the Assistant Attorney General over the Civil Rights Division, Kristen Clark.
Good morning. I am Kristen Clark, the Assistant Attorney General for the Civil Rights Division of the U.S. Department of Justice. Today is a good day. I am here with U.S. Attorney Alamdar Hamdani for the Southern District of Texas, who you'll hear from shortly as well. We are here this morning to announce that the Justice Department has secured a settlement agreement in our environmental justice investigation involving the City of Houston. The City of Houston, as you have heard, has agreed to take a number of critical actions to address illegal dumping here in the city, an issue that has long plagued the predominantly Black and Latino residents of Houston's Trinity, Houston, Gardens, Super Neighborhood 48, and other similar communities in the city. The agreement memorializes the City of Houston's and Mayor Turner's efforts to ensure racially equitable responses to the environmental hazard and improve the quality of life of members of the Houston community. Illegal dumping is a long-standing environmental justice issue which in many cities across the country disproportionately burdens Black and Latino communities. Illegal dumping can contaminate surface water, groundwater, and soil. It decreases property values and discourages economic development, often in communities that cannot afford to withstand these impacts. Illegal dumping contributes to increased flooding when contaminated waste blocks the flow of water to appropriate outlets. And illegal dumping contributes to increases in rodents and mosquitoes, which can carry diseases. Last summer, the Justice Department, Civil Rights Division, and the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of Texas launched an investigation into whether the City of Houston complied with the non-discrimination requirements of Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 regarding the city's response to illegal dumping. This investigation was in response to a complaint we received, which alleged that Houston engaged in racial discrimination in its response to illegal dumping in violation of Title VI of the Civil Rights Act. Over the course of our 10-month investigation, we conducted an extensive review of the City of Houston's efforts to address illegal dumping. We heard from residents and other impacted stakeholders about the effects of illegal dumping and the impact on their lives and communities. We also worked cooperatively with the City of Houston at every step of the way. The city provided documents and information and made relevant officials available for interviews. In March, as you heard, the City of Houston announced the One Clean Houston initiative, a truly comprehensive plan to address pervasive illegal dumping and its negative impacts on the health, safety, and quality of life of Houston residents. One Clean Houston focuses on rapid cleanup, better enforcement, and prevention and education. It increases funding for heavy trash dumping and litter abatement, establishes efforts to better facilitate reporting of illegal dumping, targeting major repeat offenders, and improved access to neighborhood depositories. Many of the aspects of the One Clean Houston initiative are responsive to the government's concerns that were set forth in the Title VI complaint that we received, and we heard from residents and others during the course of our investigation. No doubt, this initiative is an important step in addressing illegal dumping here in Houston. Today's agreement builds upon the One Clean Houston initiative. In addition to confirming the city's ongoing commitment to One Clean Houston, the agreement outlines a series of additional actions that the city will take to address illegal dumping. As set forth in the agreement, the city has agreed to additional community outreach and engagement with neighborhood groups, community leaders, and other residents. The city has agreed to monitoring and to providing additional data and information about its efforts to address illegal dumping. The city has also committed to exploring whether additional actions can be taken against commercial sources of illegal dumping. In crafting this agreement, we made sure to center the experiences of impacted people and communities. This agreement is also built on principles of racial justice and racial equity. And I fully expect this agreement will bring about lasting and enduring change and transformation for communities that for far too long have been beleaguered by illegal dumping. In a few minutes, U.S. Attorney Hamdani will provide more details on the settlement agreement. This agreement marks the second time that the Justice Department has reached a settlement in an environmental justice investigation under our federal civil rights laws. Advancing environmental justice is a top priority for the U.S. Department of Justice. We know the dire consequences that environmental injustice has had on communities of color across this country. It has impacted the health outcomes of people who have been forced to endure unsafe and unsanitary conditions. It can also lower property values and impact the quality of life for residents and communities. And it is directly contrary to the fundamental principles that all people are entitled to be treated with dignity and respect. Because of these harms, last year the Justice Department announced a comprehensive environmental justice enforcement strategy, where we vowed to use all of our enforcement tools and authorities to confront systemic barriers that deny Black and brown communities access to clean air, clean water, and equitable infrastructure. The agreement we are announcing today makes clear our commitment. This agreement should also send a strong message to jurisdictions across the country regarding our commitment to promoting environmental justice. We will remain steadfast on these issues, and we will do this work in communities across the country, big or small, north or south, east or west, urban or rural. We will leave no community behind. I want to acknowledge again the City of Houston, under the leadership of Mayor Turner. The City of Houston, through the initiation of its One Clean Houston initiative, has committed significant money, time, and other resources towards addressing illegal dumping, especially in its most underserved communities. The comprehensive nature of the One Clean Houston program reflects the city's thoughtfulness and intentionality regarding this environmental hazard. Importantly, the City of Houston and the Justice Department are committed to engaging with Houston residents in affected communities to explore and implement strategies to address illegal dumping. The Justice Department is also committed to working with the city to monitor the implementation of the program and this agreement to improve the health, welfare, and safety of impacted communities. In closing, I also want to acknowledge the people, the residents of the City of Houston, and especially those in Trinity Houston Gardens Super Neighborhood 48, as well as those in Kashmere Gardens, Sunnyside, 3rd Ward, 5th Ward, and so many others who reached out to us. You provided the vital information about your day-to-day experiences and efforts in this area, and you remained patient yet vigilant while we carried out this investigation. You shared with us your love for the city, your hope in the city's and federal government's efforts to work collaboratively to address these issues, and your ideas and strategies that were targeted to your individual communities. It is through your energy and efforts that we have reached this historic agreement today, and we appreciate all that you've contributed to this moment. I'll now turn the floor over to my colleague, United States Attorney Hamdani, who will discuss the resolution agreement in further detail.
No one should have to live next to discarded tires, bags of trash, rotting carcasses, infected soils, and contaminated groundwater, all caused by illegal dumping. For too long now, Houston's underserved and low-income communities have had to bear the health burdens of the inaction and misdeeds of others. My hope is that this agreement, this resolution, is an important step in remedying those wrongs. My name is Alamdar Hamdani, and I am the United States Attorney for the Southern District of Texas. And I decided to serve as the United States Attorney for many reasons, but notably one: the opportunity to protect the people in this district, especially the most vulnerable, underrepresented minorities, low-income communities, people who are often without a voice. These are the citizens who have been harmed by persistent illegal dumping. My office, along with the Department of Justice as a whole, have made it a priority to end this practice. This agreement affirms my deep commitment to using every tool at my disposal to ensure environmental justice for all people in the Southern District of Texas. So, AUSAs from my office were full partners in this investigation. We met with and listened to people in the community. We visited illegal dumping sites, and let me tell you, there's a whole bunch of them. We interviewed city employees and officials. We reviewed scores of documents and other available information. Our investigation revealed that illegal dumping has become a historic and pervasive problem in the city of Houston, a burden which has been mostly felt by the Black and Latino residents. The agreement ensures that One Clean Houston will be implemented in a way that addresses the illegal dumping problem, such as improved communications with underserved communities, improved partnerships with outside law enforcement and prosecutors, increased enforcement, heavy trash violations being enforced, major repeat property owner offenders being held to account, increased funding for heavy trash pickup, dumping, and litter removal, increased efforts to facilitate and promote reporting of illegal dumping and violators, improve efficiency of collection equipment, attracting and retaining waste management employees, expanding HPD's video surveillance program, initiation of HPD's illegal dumping overtime program, establishing a dumping maintenance control program, improving access to neighborhood depositories. The city must also, while doing this, report its progress in implementing these terms of the agreement to the United States Attorney's Office and the Department of Justice. The Southern District of Texas and the Department of Justice will continue to monitor and the progress and compliance for a period of 3 years. I run my office according to what I call the mama rule. My mama is 80 years old. She lives on a fixed income. She is an immigrant. She is a person of color. She understands and she knows poverty because she lived through it. These are the people we protect in the Southern District of Texas every day. This resolution is a step in that direction of protecting people just like my mama. Thank you.
We'd be happy to take a few questions.
Ms. Clark, did you find any signs of racial or ethnic discrimination during your investigation?
Well, the United States Department of Justice has suspended its investigation. We are now focused on remedying the problem, remedying the issue of illegal dumping. So no findings have issued, and we are now focused on putting the city on a path to reform.
Or were there any signs during the investigation that concerned you?
Well, we've issued no findings here, but we certainly met with city officials. We met with residents. We listened to them. We heard them. And we firmly believe that the settlement agreement that we are announcing today is responsive to the concerns of the people of the city of Houston who have faced illegal dumping for far too long. Yes.
Have you spoken to the communities that filed the initial complaints that resulted in this investigation? And have they indicated support for this resolution?
This is a community-centered and community-focused agreement. We have listened to the community at every turn. Following this press conference today, we will be hosting meetings with communities, ensuring that they fully understand this settlement agreement in its entirety, and most importantly, ensuring that they understand their role during the 3-year monitoring period that lies ahead.
But have you told them in advance before announcing today that this was the resolution?
We listen to communities to understand the remedy that they would want for illegal dumping and firmly believe that their input is reflected in the agreement that we are announcing today. The community was heard at every stage of this process. Yes.
So you said that there was no findings. What was happening in these communities? Why were these communities not getting the same response as some of the other areas in the cities?
Well, we are very pleased that this One Clean Houston program is helping to usher in a new day, and I'll turn the floor over to the mayor who will talk about some of the changes and reforms that have been put in place.
Yes, because I want to be very clear. When this mayor came in January of 2016, this mayor said that there are communities in this city, neighborhoods, that have been underserved and under-resourced for decades. This mayor said that. Didn't require a finding from DOJ. From someone who grew up in Acres Home, still live in Acres Home, native to this city. This city has underserved and under-resourced neighborhoods for decades. Okay? This administration from day one put the focus on communities that have been underserved and under-resourced. Before the DOJ, complete communities, identifying 10 neighborhoods, okay, from north to south to the east that were underserved. That was before the DOJ. That was from the very beginning. Okay. One Clean Houston, which DOJ is acknowledging is an effective plan of action to move forward, is simply now being institutionalized. And One Clean Houston has been supported by community groups and activists in this city. We are continuing One Clean Houston under this administration. So, has there been discrimination in this city? Yes, but not this administration. As previous administrations have underserved this city, neighborhoods in this city, for too long. So I just want us to be very clear on what's happening here. We are institutionalizing and affirming One Clean Houston that is already in operation and is working. So I want to be very, very clear as to what we are doing. And I do want to thank my city council members. I want to thank Chief Fenner and the legal department, and the police department. I want to thank Arturo Michelle and his legal team, Deidre Penny. I want to thank all of them. I want to thank the mayors, all of the departments, okay, for working collaboratively to say we want to transform things for the better. People should not be living with illegal dumping or trash or communities that are underserved. And we are taking definitive steps. Now, no one is claiming mission accomplished because it is a continuing effort. And the administrations after this one has to continue and build on what has been done. It's not one and done. And I think what the Department of Justice and the Attorney for the Southern District is saying is that it's fine where we are today, but we need to make sure, and the reporting requirements are a part of that. So I want us to leave here being very, very clear. I stand firmly in acknowledgement of what this administration has been doing and continue to do, and what we have been doing is working.
We're going to take one last video question. Two more. Do you have a follow-up?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Quick follow-up with Dylan, and that's it.
How are you guys able to speed up the days from 49 days response time to 11 days? Like, what had to happen, or why, how all of a sudden we were able to change that is what I wanted to know.
We certainly have put more resources. There are more contractors out in the field. We're utilizing more inspectors. We're utilizing more cameras. We're working with HPD. We're working with our constables. Our hot teams are all working. We're working in a very collaborative fashion in order to achieve that. We're using the data. We are reporting. That reporting will continue. All of those things are taking place. And the commitment that we have made, even though my term is over, continuing to provide resources for the next 2 and 3 years.
We will monitor this agreement for 3 years. We will continue to track data to ensure that progress continues in the road ahead.
Just last question. Is there a dollar figure on the 3-year agreement, and can you outline the reporting requirements in more detail? Is that quarterly, annual?
I think the initial cost on the One Clean Houston is about $18 million, but that number will increase because there's another item that's coming before City Council in another week or two that will add an additional vendor on the cleanup in the city of Houston. So it's 18 for now, but that's exponentially going up. And then there's some additional announcements that will be made to my members of the City Council that will go up exponentially.
And then the reporting requirements, is that monthly, annually to the DOJ?
The Justice Department will actively monitor this agreement for 3 years. During that time, we will be meeting and engaging with community. We'll be accessing 311 data. We'll be assessing data made available via the Neighborhood Equity Dashboard and more to ensure progress in the road ahead. We thank you all for being here.